Welcome, everybody. It's good to be back with me as always. It's my boy, George Wells. How you doing, Georgie?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How you doing, brother?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. Hope you had a good Christmas.
Yes, it was a wonderful holiday spending it with the family. Hope you also had a good rest during the holidays.
Definitely did, man. Definitely did.
Well, I mean, so it's been a while. We took about a 2 week break. So, there's a lot to catch up on. Um, Probably way more than any one individual can handle. So why don't we just give it a try?
All right, sounds good, man. So we've got the matches are kind of all over the place right now because people have had multiple matches over the last couple weeks. So like Dustin's had a couple matches. He played against Mark Buckley, and he also played against Chris Steele. So he just got beat up on by a couple of the up and comers that are coming up the ladder.
Mm.
Um, Mark Buckley ended up scoring a 75 average to Dustin's 66 average. He beat him. I think he beat him 6 games to 1 or 2. Right. I think Dustin got one leg off of him. Right. But again, those are just Mark Buckley's now actually in contention for a title shot against you. You got miles to go, and then Mark's waiting for his shot. So it's good to see these guys starting to get near the top of the ladder, right?
Yes, and my match with Miles is on Thursday. It's penciled in
Fantastic.
for 9:30. So we'll try to give it a stream. So we'll let you all know.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. That'd be awesome. Daniel Vigil, another one that we're keeping an eye on with his climb,
Mm.
right? This guy throws well over 60 averages, right? Um, he played against Brad Willett a little while ago. Again, I'm not sure if it was his last match or his second last match. But he played against Brad Willett. Brad actually got the first set off of him, uh, 3 legs to 2. But then Dan came back and just won the next 2 sets,
Mm.
and that was all she wrote for Brad Willett. And then Dan had another match against Robert Griffiths, and he threw a 59 average in that one. I believe he won 6 straight in that set there.
Mm.
Right. So I'm just recapping the top guys that I know. Like, it's been a couple of weeks now, right? So there's a lot to talk about. If I touched on every match, we'd be here for an hour.
An hour, yeah.
You know what I mean? We would for sure. Um, who else do we got? Henry L and Dave Curry had a good battle. Um, they went back and forth of sweeps, actually.
Oh,
So yeah, Dave Curry swept Henry in the first set, and then Henry came back and won 6 straight to finish it. But they both threw over 60 averages. Dave threw a 60 average, and Henry threw a 64 average.
wow.
So
Yeah,
those are big numbers from Dave Curry.
yeah, no, he's also been shooting. He had a lot of action actually in the last 2 weeks. I believe I seen his couple of recaps with his name on it. But we may touch on those. I thought I seen like three or four potentially. He's been
Yeah,
busy.
he's been really active lately for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to see.
Yeah, definitely is. Uh, Doug, another one that we're Doug Allard, I believe his name is. Um, like he threw up a 70 average against Mike Edwards. Yeah, I thought he was more of like a 58 to 65 kind of player, and then he goes and throws up a 70 average. So when he gets up here against like yourself or Mark Buckley or Chris Steele, like you could see more numbers like this from him, like 70 averages. It's going to be, yeah, he's
70
a
is a
good thrower,
really
man.
high number actually.
It really, really is, man.
That's
Um,
pretty high number. Especially did he sweep
yeah,
that match or no?
uh, I can't remember. I think Mike Edwards got one leg off of him.
Okay. No, because on the
Yeah,
sweep it makes it a little bit, more, like it makes a little bit more sense. But when there's a back and forth, a 70 is a pretty good number to end up with on a match.
for sure, for sure.
That's crazy.
Um, what's his name? New to the ladder is Ryan Guzny. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Ryan?
Guzny or Gozney? Henry?
Oh,
Henry.
Henry. Oh, Henry G. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know how to
He's
pronounce his
he's
last name.
throwing up like he's throwing up like 80 averages, man.
Oh, no, no, no. He, I'm one. like I told you, I'm a groupie, right? I say I have my favorite, I have my favorites, and then I have people who I follow. I follow my boy Shane. I always keep an eye on him, and reach out to play practice with him once in a while. And Henry, I follow him in his Facebook, and I see his practice games. And man, he also plays some really good shooters as well. So that is
Yeah,
also one of the tips that they say, right? You want to get better, you got to play better people. So
for sure.
he's always
But
throwing
it's going
like,
to be, yeah, he's always throwing like 70 pluses. Sorry,
yeah.
sorry to cut you off, brother. Yeah, man. Like every time I'm looking at this guy, he's in the 70s or the 80s. The 80s. He's going to be someone that's going to be hard to. But again, like he's going to make these other guys step up their game. So when he gets to the top, and he's playing against guys like yourself, guys like Shane, guys like Chris Thiel, Mark Buckley, like you're going to see big numbers from all of these guys. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see Mark Buckley end up in the 80s when he's playing against guys that are also throwing that high. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be interesting, man. I can't wait.
So I think what's gonna end up happening, just a comment here, um, it's consistency. So if that person is throwing 70 all time around, and once you use, but there are other players who will throw like a 70 here, a 70 there. Well, when you don't throw a 70 every time, that one game may be the one that you're not throwing 70 against, and that's when you're going to play Henry. But he's always shooting
Yeah,
consistent, so he's always going to get his 70. So if you're shooting a 58, you shoot a 60, you have no chance. So that's the difference
nope.
between some of these players. Like, I was surprised to see, you probably touch on it, Shane in one of Shane's matches. He threw a way low average than he normally does. So I was just surprised to see that.
47,
Right, he tried for
47.
exactly like a 48 or something like that. So I was like, that's very unlike Shane, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but
No,
that's the
it definitely
difference,
is.
right? But like I said, he got away with it. But if somebody else was playing a consistent, 65, he would have been done, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta keep an eye on that. Consistency is one of the key things, man.
Who else do we got here? What do we got? We got. Uh, oh, Doug actually had a low scoring match against Robert G. He dropped the first set to Robert G, and then he came back to win the next two. There's actually a few matches here where they're surprisingly low averages from some of these guys. We're gonna get to them, but
Mm.
like you said, like Shane throwing a 47. I think
Yeah,
Henry threw like a 51. Um, and Doug throwing
he threw a 56, I think.
mid
Yeah,
56. Was that it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 56 versus Roberts 51. It was a good back and forth
Yeah,
that match too. Yeah,
it really was, but it's surprising, right? Like a guy that just finished throwing a 70 average and now he's down throwing a 54 or a 57. You know what I mean? Like it's such a swing. Um, Lewis Carter, another guy that like throws really well, didn't have a very good performance against Brad D. He still took the match six straight, but again, I think he had like a mid 50s average, right?
yeah.
Uh, threw a 67 against Brian H. That's Lewis again. Like again, like that's what I mean. Like big swings from like a mid 50s game to a 67 average, right? Um, Chris Thiel throwing up a 79 average against Larry. Like,
Yeah.
and Larry actually gave me some extra stats.
Ah,
So he was like, and which is nice. If you guys have extra stats that you guys want included in your recap, throw them in there because I have no problem talking about them, especially when they're cool like this. Where did it go? So um, Chris had 8 scores between 140. He won six straight, and he had 8 scores between 140 and 159.
mm.
8 scores in 6 games,
I
and then he
mean,
had 7 scores between 95 and 113.
that's like I said, right? That's consistency, right?
Yep,
So
yep. It's
yeah,
funny that he had more scores over 140 than he did hundreds. You know what I mean? Like he only had 7 scores around 100, and he had 8 scores around 140. It's kind of
but
funny.
what's interesting about that is, if you, well, I didn't get to see the recap itself. I mean the summary, but you'll see that he's one of those consistent shooters that he will actually shoot a 140, shoot a 117, shoot like another ton, and then actually close the match, close the leg with the proper darts. Unlike me, I'll do the 140, I'll do the 120, I'll do the 100, and then I'll take 20 darts at an out. It's like that's the part that kills
Yeah,
me, right? But so Chris
for
doesn't
sure.
doesn't have that, right? So he'll just throw those high numbers and he's gonna put you to sleep in that same leg.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to look out
It's
for.
it's going to be interesting to see where this Chris Steele guy goes because he's only been playing for 3 years and he's throwing these kinds of numbers, right? Like, give him a couple more years, and I'd like to see like where this guy can get to. Like, how good can this guy get? If he's only been playing for 3 years and this is the quality of darts that he's throwing,
Well,
I would love to see where he gets to in 2 years.
he just corrected us. He's in the chat. So what's going on, Chris? He said he's been paying for 4 years now.
4 years now. Okay.
for
Yeah.
4 years. That's still way maturity, dart maturity than I'll have in like whatever many years I played. So good for him.
Yeah. 4 years. Like, he's still a rookie, for crying out loud.
I mean,
But
listen,
man, he is,
the scouts, man,
he's
the
good.
scouts are gonna be looking. The scouts are gonna be looking.
Yep.
You know.
Man. He threw a 75 average over Dustin because I told you at the beginning that Dustin had a couple matches where these bigger shooters are beating up on him, right? But Chris Steele's now in 8th place now. He's scratching at the door of a title shot. You know what I mean? Like, he's got a couple matches left. He wins one more that'll put him into the top 6, and then he beats a top 6 guy, and that gives him a title shot, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, he's right there. Kirk Hess and Kirk Chapman played. I was given the advantage to Kirk Hess there, like, and I think I said it in like my recap, the one that I type up, that you can't count Kirk Chapman out, but Kirk Hess definitely had the advantage here. And he did win. He ended up winning 6 legs to 2 with a 62 average. I think Kirk Chapman threw like maybe like a 57 or 58, somewhere in
Yeah,
there. So still good.
Mm.
Was it that high, or do you have it there?
No, that's what I was looking through my notes here. I thought I see their match. But if I think it might have been in the 50s, like mid 50s, low 50s.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So Kirk Hess actually won himself a title shot with that win.
Yes.
So you've got right now Miles, then Mark Buckley, and then if you get past those two, then you've got Kirk Hess waiting for you. And now we're on to Henry Guzny. Like, this guy's so good, man. He's just onto the ladder. He's new onto the ladder, so he's playing against guys that are fairly new on the ladder and fairly low
Yeah.
on the ladder right now, right? But he played against Tim Dwork, another really new guy to the ladder. He played him. He had a 72 average over him. He had a 78 average over Tyler Owen. And remember, like, to get these kind of scores while playing lower players, that you're not relying on them to double out, right? All the doubling out is on you.
Yeah. And it's hard.
Man,
And it's hard. I'm telling you,
it is.
it's super hard maintaining those numbers. The comment for me has always been like, we say it. I think Clark Webster mentioned it. His favorite and his least uh, person to play against is Ray, because Ray will play you up. If you're a 60, he'll shoot close to your average. If you're shooting a 42, he'll shoot a 42 close to your average. But
Yep.
there are some players that don't have that issue, right? They don't care if you're
Yep.
shooting 95. If they're used to shooting 75, like that's where they stand, right? Like, I mean, they may shoot
Yep.
better, but they're not gonna shoot less. Right?
No, they very much play their own game. Like, a lot of people, and I'm actually famous for it when it comes to playing billiards, where I play to my competition. If my competition's really good, I'm going to play really good. If I'm playing someone that's not so good, I'm going to play not so good, right? I play to my competition a lot, which isn't good. It's not good. Like, I should be playing my game regardless. No matter what happens, I should be able to play my game. But that's why I'm not up there with these guys, right? Another guy that like to keep your eye on, and he's brand new to the ladder as well. Is John Garcia, I believe his name is John
Ah, I seen
G.
him. Yeah,
Right?
I seen his average.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
threw against Henry Guzman, and Henry threw an 81 average, and John threw a 70.
yeah. Ah, that's very impressive.
So yeah, so I'm gonna be keeping my eye on him and see what this guy can do. There's also another guy that like I'm hoping we can keep him on the ladder. His name's Ray on the ladder. It's Ray D. He's right at the bottom of the ladder, brand new to the ladder. His name's Ray Douglas. I believe his actual last name's like starts with an H or something like that. So if you see him online, it's Ray H, but on
Mhm.
Facebook, it's Ray Douglas. But he throws like a 60 plus average as well, right? So I'm hoping that we can keep him on the ladder. He works a lot of nights,
Yeah,
afternoon shift. So he's only really able to play on the weekends,
yeah.
which might not work for the ladder. So we'll see what happens, right? Um, what else we got here? Nick Highland over Brian Bell Braddock was 6-2. That puts Nick into sixth place. And Brian's dropped a little bit since then. So Brian, I believe, I got it right here. Look at that. Brian has dropped down to 21st. And I kind of feel bad for Brian because he did have like a shot at playing against Ray Sturgis, but they just couldn't figure out a time to play. Ray eventually was like, I'm way too busy. And he just forfeited it.
Hmm.
Right. So, but when he forfeited, Brian didn't want to take the spot. So he stayed where he was and then went on a losing streak. So he dropped from like 10th down to 21st. It just sucks because if he had have had that match against Ray, he could have won that match and it would have put him into like seventh or sixth or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just a shitty scenario. Shane Patrick, your boy Shane Patrick's made it halfway through the ladder now. He's up in like 51st now.
That's my boy.
Yeah, so that's gonna like he's starting to get up there, right? He actually, and I got it right there. The shoots the low score against Chuck S.
Yeah, yeah. Like I
Yeah,
said, I was surprised. I mean, maybe he just rolled out of bed or something and it didn't
yeah.
do no
Like he
warm up.
says, he's like he calls them the yips. That's where I got it from. He's like everybody
Ah,
gets the yips sometime, right? And sure enough, he got them and just couldn't finish. And if Chuck could have even just thrown a little bit decent, he could have beat him. You know what I mean? But Chuck threw like a 44 average or something like that and just couldn't get it going, right?
how come he doesn't get the yips when he plays me?
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Yeah, it's because you push them. Uh, again, there's Henry's low score against Michael B. And again, Michael B throws like a 54 average, and Henry threw a 52, and Michael threw a 50. So if
Mhm.
Michael had have even thrown his average,
He
he
might
could
have
have
won.
beat Henry, right? He might have won, right? Um, we got a few more to go here, and then that'll be it. But Christopher Rusty Annette. So he goes by Rusty, but I might have to like update his average because he's throwing up big numbers, right? Like he threw a 57 average against Jerry, and I think his average on paper is like 47 or something like that. So he threw 10 points above his average against Jerry, and then he threw a 60 average against Scotty Colson.
Mm.
So this guy can throw. His average isn't isn't accurate as far as I'm concerned. So I'll look into changing that, but I need to get like a scorecard or something off of him that says that he's a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Okay, public service announcement. Get your own account. Don't share your buddies. Don't share your sisters. Don't share your big brothers or your little brothers. Don't share your pop's account. Please get your own account
Yeah,
because
and play on your own account.
play on
Don't
your
let
own
other
account.
people play on your account,
Yes, don't let other people play on
right?
your own account. Then you have like your son taking your tablet and putting it on his board and then playing with his cousin, and putting under my name, and he throws 103 leg, and it takes my average down like a billion points. So
No, you're not wrong. And there's a few people that are like guilty of it. Dustin Capel, guilty. Ian Crew, guilty. You know what I mean? Like these guys let people play on their accounts, and I know that their numbers aren't accurate, right? But I don't know where to put them. Like I figure like Ian's like a 52 shooter. I think we've got him down as like, again, I got it right here. Look at this. I'm actually prepared today, man. Ian Crew must be on this page.
so we have so Amanda,
Regardless.
thank you for she's in the chat. Yeah, we didn't today we just figured that we're not gonna have a highlight or a match. We're just going to kind of catch up on the recaps. But look, we're looking to have one in next week. So we'll address that. And Christopher, just another note, he was saying that he's also guilty of sharing an account. So but we're already on to you, Chris. So you're done.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't count. Unless it is his wife shooting and we don't know.
Yeah. All right, so we just talked about Rusty because he's a good shot. Scott Schluth, I'm trying to pronounce his last name. He actually is another one that kind of caught up with me where I was like, where the hell did he come from? Because he challenged Clark, and I was like, how's he that high? And I look, and sure enough, he's right there. So he actually beat Clark with a 58 average, and he jumped into 7th place. So that bumps Clark down to 9th.
And that was straight sets, right? I think that was
6 straight.
Yeah, 6 straight. That's
Yeah,
tough.
yeah, for sure. Good matches by him though. That's awesome. Another one that really surprised me was Brian Webb. Brian Webb threw a 60 average against Larry. Larry
French.
Yeah, against Larry. And then he beat Michael B. I don't know how to say his name, Bootlier or something like that.
Right.
Sorry guys for the last names. That's why everything is like Michael B and Clyde F and but I believe he beat him with like a 58 average. And I was just like, man, like good for Brian Webb throwing up those kind of numbers.
Right, he in that specific match, he threw a 71 leg there as well. So against Michael B.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We
we're almost near the end here now.
We got special love for him because he's in our team on our Wednesday league. So
yeah, right. Chris Berry finally got back into the win column. He played Clifton Ferguson something, and he jumps back into the mix. He jumped into 11th place. He was actually in 10th, but somebody hopped him, so that bumped him down a little bit. But yeah, he got another guy that like was taking like quite a few hits, and it's good to see him back in the win column. I don't know who his match is against right now, but I believe he's got another match pending. So it'll be good to, I don't know, these other guys that used to be the top of the ladder. I still have love for these guys, and I still want to see them like do well. You know what I mean? Just because they're like my OGs of the ladder they're the guys that like yourself that just ran the top of the ladder for the longest time. And I want to see them still doing that. I hope these new guys can push these guys to get better and actually still see guys like Kyle Wintersma, Chris Berry, yourself. I want to see you guys all competing with this new breed of players that we got coming up the ladder. You know what I mean?
The new 16-year-olds.
Yeah, the new 16-year-olds. That's crazy, man. That's nuts.
Well, first of all, I want a birth certificate check. That kid's got more facial hair than me. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? No kidding. I showed it to my wife, and she's like, "He looks 40." I was like, "What the?" Yeah, it's crazy. And the pressure that's on this kid, and he's handling his pressure so well.
He's having fun. I think that's key. I think he's having fun.
Yeah.
Which good for him. Good for him. He does have a tough match with Cross in that crazy comeback. But anyways, back to that.
Yep.
Back to the ladder.
And again, this sucks because I just mentioned his name, but Tim Schneck over Kyle G. They both threw mid 50s. But again, if Kyle G wants to compete, and Tim, if either of these guys want to compete in the top 10, they're going to need to do better than 55s. All right.
Yeah,
These guys that are coming up, it's not going to be 55s that are going to keep you in the top 10. It's going to be 60s. You're going to have to
at
throw
minimum.
high 50s to 60s minimum to stay in the top 10. Um, I got Todd versus Ray on here. Oh, because they both threw big numbers. I don't know why I don't have the numbers down here. Uh, Todd and that guy Ray D at the bottom of the ladder. I want to say Todd threw like a 60 something average, and Ray was right behind him with like a 58 or a 59. But I was just like, man, like maybe this Todd guy is somebody we got to keep an eye on as well. Like he's he's throwing up some big numbers, but he also got beat pretty badly by someone he shouldn't have lost to. You know what I mean? So when that happened, I was kind of like, I just don't know where he stands. But then you see Shane Henry and Doug throwing bad games, right? So it happens to everybody. But I'm going to keep an eye on Todd because I think he's gonna continue to throw up some big numbers.
No, I'm
The
just trying to
last two that I want to talk.
hmm
What's
Go
that?
ahead. No, no, I was just trying to scroll through to see the score, but I didn't get you. I didn't see it.
Yeah. Uh, Kirk Main's back on the ladder.
My boy Kirk.
This guy's gonna make some waves. I'm telling you right now. He's gonna climb. He's gonna shock some people, man. Like his game has improved so much that he's gonna be busting at the top 10 door.
Hmm.
Like right now, I think we got him listed as like a 52 average or something like that. But he's going to be throwing up numbers close to 60,
I
right?
mean,
So
I
keep
played Kirk in a while. It's been a while. But he's always had games. But I think it was one of those, like we all go through those ups and
ups and
downs.
downs.
Which like I put myself in some of those in when I'm having like I barely play at times, and it just affects the game, right? Kyle G, I think maybe going through something like that. Clark, shoot the way he lost, I was surprised that he threw those low numbers, right? So it's like we all go through those. Sometimes we just stay there a
Yep,
little longer than we really want to, right? So
yep. But I think with Kirk, I think it's just a gradual evolution of his game. You know what I mean? I think he's just evolved from like when I first started playing with him, he was a 46, 47 shooter. And now he's like, then he was like a 50 to 50 some odd, like 52 shooter. And now I truly believe he's like a 58 to a 59 shooter now,
very
right? So
nice.
I think you're gonna be seeing some really good games from him for sure. And the last one I wanted to talk about was Matt Law. It's another guy that like I got my eye on just because he's throwing up some big numbers, right? He played Brad Devine and he won with a 61 average. And I know people are like 61 averages. You got guys that are throwing 70s, but when these guys are throwing 70s, they've got other people that are checking out for them as well, right? When you're the only one checking out, right? Like Henry Gosney, he's a perfect example. When he's checking out, he's the only one checking out. He wins six straight in an 81 average. It's amazing. If he was playing a pro, you know what I mean? Am I making sense here? If he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
playing a pro, that pro would check out for him a little bit earlier, and he probably would throw like a 90 average, right? Like, I don't know. It's just,
The
these
pressure.
numbers are just,
Well, that's the pressure, right? That's the difference when somebody's knocking, it's right on your heels, and that's the reason why they say that Joe Collins go ahead and miss an out a double two or a double one, or things that they hit all the time, you know, because there's somebody right on your heel because the guy just shot a big number to get you into like on and out, and you're like, well, what just happened here? The guy shot a 180, now he's on my heels. But those are the kind of things that play into how you even think your game, right? Like that you see people shooting, they are like 200 points ahead, and then they're like, okay, well, I could go out from I have 93. If I miss, I'll be conservative, and I'll use my three darts to set it up instead of really being aggressive and trying to get out. So everybody does it slightly different, but like you said, when you have that far ahead and when you're consistently shooting that way, he's playing himself. Like I have a feeling he's one of those guys that just competes against himself and nobody else.
Yep, yep. So, man, I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna look through to see like the matches to look out for. I'm just
Mhm.
gonna scroll down here to the matches that we have.
I do want to
Jordan and Chow. Jordan and Chow need to get their match in. We'll start with that one.
uh-oh, this is the shame list.
Um, yeah, that was a shame list right there. Matches to look out for. Aside from like the title matches, those are like your obvious matches. Um, Clifton and Clark is going to be a good match. Brian B against Kyle B, another good match. Anything with like Shane, Lewis, all these guys, like they throw phenomenal darts. So those are always ones to look out for, right? But other than that, oh, Henry L versus Tim S. That's going to be a good match.
And like I said, if you're interested in having this streamed, let us know. Shoot us a message, and we'll try to get you on the list. We usually do it around this time on Sundays. Well, today's Monday, but on Sundays, what the usual recap is. But if there's any other times that you feel that we can do a stream, just let us know, and we'll try to work something with you.
That's perfect. Yeah, so Henry versus Tim, and then Todd versus Henry G. It was actually Todd that called out Henry G. But Todd's going to push Henry G a little bit. I think you might see like a little bit higher of a match between Todd and Henry there. And the other one, unfortunately, I don't think this match is going to happen, is Ray D against John G. We were just talking about both those guys, how they both throw around a 60 average, but they're having problems with scheduling and stuff, so we might not see that match. But
Uh,
those are the matches to look out for the next week or so.
all right, well, hopefully we'll be able to report on them. But I do. You mentioned it earlier. You said you used to say top five. Now you're saying top
Yes,
six. Tell us a little
we
bit about
uh,
that.
we opened it up to the top six. Just to, we still want to make it difficult to get a title shot, but we also don't want guys like you just sitting there with no one to play. And unfortunately, through Christmas and stuff, the matches are built up a little bit. But once we get back into the swing of things, I think it's going to be a consistent two-player wait. You know what I mean? You'll have one match and one match waiting. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've got to actually tell Mark B and or sorry, who's the next one? Kirk Hess and no Nick and Kirk C. That's it. Nick Highland and Kirk Chapman. They're actually got another shot to try and win a title, but they got to play it after you play your next match because there's
Okay.
only three title shots in a row, right?
Okay.
We don't
So
we don't want to keep building onto the waiting list of people to get a title shot, right?
yeah, yeah, and life happens. So, but yes, the holidays definitely. So we're looking to schedule some of those, get those out the way, and then it's a new year. 2024 is going to be exciting. There's a lot of good plays on the ladder. There's going to be a lot of good matches. Um, I have a feeling that people are going to get handpicked from here, and you're going to start seeing them more in more public arenas type of thing. So it's really
Yeah,
exciting
I'm
seeing a
hoping
lot of those
so.
players there. You know. I'm
Yep.
super excited. And listen, man, it's gonna make everybody play better, which I love, right? So everybody gotta, sharpen your darts, change your flights, find the system that works for you. It's gonna be tough climbing this ladder.
Yep. Especially when we got guys like Michael Smith and MVG coming onto the ladder. Soon the top's just going to be filled with big names, boys.
And so, I mean, they're gonna have to compete with the Henry G's and the Chris T's, the Gonzo C's, like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Man, so funny.
But that's awesome, man. But listen, thank you again, George. Like I said, wish you the best in this year, not only in darts but in life, and we look forward to seeing the rest of the recaps and the matches to come. Man, thank you again for all the greatness that you've done in the past 2023 for maintaining everything smooth as a baby's bottom.
Thanks,
So
brother.
awesome, man. Appreciate it. And once
And I
again,
appreciate you doing these with me, man. I really do, man.
no, I don't do that. I'm just a pretty face. That's all. All
Thanks so
right, my
much, man.
brother.
I really
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining. Once again, just if you need anything, if you want to stream your match, let us know. We'll work something out. And have a good night. So shoot well and God bless. Take care.